Hmm. Hello, Marianne. Hello, Hannah. So excited for you to be here, for you to just be on this journey with me. So, I just want to start off by saying a huge thank you for doing this work, for being dedicated to showing up every single day, for supporting your child's root chakra, supporting their sovereignty, wanting to raise sovereign kids, because what you're doing is completely outside of the norm. What you're doing is completely outside of the matrix. And you may, you will see the effects, but you won't see the full big picture until they're adults. But just know that when they do get to that point, they are going to thank you. They're going to thank you for doing this work right now. So I want to make sure you can see my slides. Okay, 1 second. So while we are waiting for everyone else to drop in, while I'm waiting for my slides to appear, because I'm not sure where they went, I want you to drop in the chat an emoji of what you're feeling right now, whether it is that you've received breakthroughs in doing this work already, whether it is that you're feeling a little bit of resistance to doing this work, whatever it is, drop it in the chat with an emoji, and we are going to get started very soon. Okay, can you see this? Let me know if you can see my screen. Okay, perfect. So, what you're going to learn today is going to be something that is going to allow you to have the confidence and the empowerment and the tools and the bigger, broader blueprint and framework for you to raise sovereign kids, because you're already doing this root chakra work. You know about the importance of those first 7 years. And you know that doing the inner work, bringing up your shadows, seeing how maybe you've been parenting out of your own root chakra wounds is already making the biggest difference. But now it's time to go even bigger. Now it's time to really integrate this sovereign spiral. And I'm going to share with you the sovereign spiral framework, tongue twister of a word. I'm going to share with you the sovereign spiral framework that I've used for myself and my daughter that has been completely life-changing for us. And I've also used it on my clients, and now I'm sharing it with the world. So if you have not yet, drop in your emoji. I want to know what you're feeling, what's coming up for you. And I really want you to set an intention for this space. So if you have the possibility to fully be present, I know we're moms, we have kids running around, we have lots of things to do. Maybe just making the intention to be fully present, it will make the biggest difference, because what we're doing here is anchoring in all the work that you're already doing. We are anchoring in the feelings of presence, grounding, of freedom, of sovereignty. So I really want you to stay present here. And if you can, if you feel called to, let me know in the comments what your intention is for this. Okay. And I also would love if throughout this VIP experience, workshop, whatever it is that is coming forward here, when you experience a breakthrough or an aha moment, share it with an emoji. I would love to hear what were those things that maybe you didn't realize. Maybe again, you felt resistance to, but you're ready to breathe through it. You're ready to expand with it. Let me know in the emoji. Let me know in the comments with an emoji. And I want you to let yourself feel. There will be things that maybe are expressed here that maybe you don't want to face. If you've never been to one of these live sessions before, chances are I'm going to trigger you. And I do it from that place of unconditional love, because when I trigger you, it means that you have hit your limit. It means that you have hit some sort of boundary that your survival self has set up for you to protect you. So I want you to breathe through it. Allow yourself to feel that, see what comes up, And always come back to asking yourself, what is this making me believe about myself? And that will clearly show you what is a belief that we can start to do this work and reprogram for you. And this is your space. This is a sacred, safe space that's really going to allow you to do this work, to take everything that you've already been doing and expand it even more. And I love the overwhelm and excited to practice tools consistently. And that is something that is life-changing. Doing this consistently, you will notice the ripple effect of you truly using energy healing on your kids, raising them, being present, being a sovereign mom yourself. So I'm so excited about this. I'm excited for you being here. And just know that if there is any boredom, if there's any resistance, if there's any overwhelm that happens throughout this, know that that is just one of the ways that your survival self is telling you, I don't want to learn anything new. Because that is what its job is, to keep you safe. And it's keeping you in the known. And what I'm sharing with you today through the Sovereign Spiral framework, through what comes up in the one-on-one coaching, this is going to stretch you. So your survival self may start to feel that resistance, and I want you to breathe through it. Because the more you can be open to this, the more we're really going to anchor in all of this beautiful work. Okay. Magical, intuitive, powerful. I love that. And you truly are. When you start implementing the Sovereign Spiral framework into your day-to-day life, you'll realize just how powerful you are, how powerful your kids are, and that beautiful connection between you two that really allow you both to remain sovereign. Okay, so you've been doing the root chakra work. And I've already seen through the comments over this week, I've even got a couple of DMs, that this has really been impactful. You've either learned amazing new tools you never knew, you were highlighted parts of you that maybe you didn't want to face, or maybe you didn't realize you were holding on to. And now you have those first 7 years and what to do to support them. But now we rise. Now it's about something so much more, because the root chakra is the foundational work. Until you do that root chakra work, nothing else will work. And I've seen so many people come to me wanting to speak to their kids telepathically. And that's great. We want you to do that, but only until you do the foundational work. And I'm going to share with you how this works in that spiral framework. But your child's development follows a very powerful energetic path based on the chakra system, this sovereign spiral, which I'm going to share with you, and the psionic imprints. And if this is a new term for you, this is something that I really want you to anchor in. These psionic imprints are that sacred soul level connection between you and your child. And you probably heard this in many other terms. Maybe it's been touched on in other parenting books, but here may be the first time you're hearing about this on this spiritual energetic level. Because these psionic imprints is what allows you to feel when your child is unwell. These psionic imprints are found in twins. So when twins are separated, they can still feel when the other one is sick or hurt or in danger. And us as moms still have that same connection with our child. But not only is that information passed from child to mom, it is also from mom to child. And so knowing all of this, encompassing all of this, this is what really gives you that very clear framework of how you can best support your child's sovereignty, how you can ensure that they are growing up with the empowering beliefs of self-worth, of trust, of empowerment, of confidence, because that's what we want. I know it's what you want. That's why you're here. So I'm going to show you how to reach that for your child to be and create that foundation for them. Okay. So this 7-part framework and pathway to raising your sovereign child, it connects with each of the chakras, and there's no coincidence in that. And this is information that I have channeled over close to a decade of doing this work. Primarily, it was focused on moms at first and women, and it has slowly been integrated more. And I've received more and more messages about how this really starts with you as a mom. How right here in this moment, you are being called to step into a role that your soul already asked you to be a part of before you even came into this world. You're being called to step into a role to be a leader for the next generation. Because it's the next generation that is really going to be making the biggest shifts in the conscious collective energy. It is the next generation that is going to be the light leaders that we need to shift us into love. They are going to show us that anything is possible, that all of these limitations that we've been living through for the past 10, 20, 50 generations is all a lie. It's all part of the matrix trying to keep us small, trying to keep us controlled. And you choosing to do this work, choosing to show up for your child in this way, to parent completely out of the norm, to use this sovereign spiral framework, your child is going to be able to do the things that everyone else believes is impossible. They are going to be able to levitate, to speak telepathically, to see spirits, to be able to bend time. They are going to have the abundance and the health and the prosperity and the success that maybe you are still trying to achieve. And they're going to do it with such ease, grace, and flow that others are going to wonder, how did they get so lucky? They're going to realize and know and honor their own power to be able to heal themselves, to be a master manifester. And yes, these terms get thrown around so loosely in the spiritual world, but I really want this to be anchored in as something that is the essence of sovereignty. It's that free will. It is that power. It is the ability to create the life that you want. And you doing this work using the sovereign spiral framework for your kids is allowing them that clear path to do this. So I really want you to feel that, anchor that in. Take a moment, put your hand on your heart, and just allow yourself to feel the pride and the gratitude for learning this. This is something that was channeled to me, and it has been life-changing for myself and my daughter. And everyone who meets my daughter says she is a genius, says that she is so conscious and she's so much further along in her development based on mainstream parenting guidelines. And I know it's because of this work, because of how I speak to her, because of the energetic work that I'm doing, the beliefs that I'm clearing in myself, the modeling that I'm doing, the focusing on that sacred bond and healing and strengthening it. Being that mystic leader and choosing that I am going to be the cycle breaker for her. And so this is what I am teaching you today. So I want to see if hopefully you can see this. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and share a new one. Okay. Can everyone see this? Give me a little thumbs up if you can see this. Just a white screen. Okay. Now, do not mind my attempt to draw a spiral online. Okay, let's see if this works. Oh, beautiful spiral. Okay. You know how many times I've attempted this and it did not turn out this way. So I am so grateful. Now, you doing this work, we're starting at the center of the spiral. Okay. This is where we did this root chakra work, this very foundational work. This is why until you do this root chakra work, you can't expand out of that spiral. You can't do the things that you want to do, as in like speak telepathically to your child and clear their aura from any spirits and release energetic cords. You can't do any of that until you do this root chakra work. The same way as we are following the development of the chakra system, This is what is needed for you to raise a sovereign child and support their sovereignty. It is starting with the root. Now, it is here that we go from ages 0 to 7. Okay, and this is the work that you've been doing, knowing how to support them in those first 7 years. This is where we focus on the nervous system regulation, the presence, and the grounding parenting. Here is where you become your child's anchor. Okay, you're learning to feel safe in your own body so your child can feel safe in theirs. And we've talked about this. We've created those prompts for you. You know about the grounding, you know about the co-sleeping. You've been given the tools to allow yourself to feel safe. And there's so many more out there, but you've received that foundational work. Here is where your child is starting to instill beliefs that I am safe. And if you think about it in terms of the chakra development, in terms of your life, until you feel safe, and we talked about this right at the beginning, until you feel safe somewhere new, somewhere you want to be, you'll never be able to get to that point. So you are instilling the solid beliefs of safety, that this allows your child to expand further, to start to reach, to see what is possible, and to feel safe in every step of the way. And we want this. We want our kids to feel like they can expand, that they are held as they expand. And this could be something as small, at least for adults, as like my daughter went down a slide today. She went down a big slide that she had gone down before and she had fallen and she constricted. And I did this root chakra work and I instilled those beliefs in her and I cleared the trauma from her. And she went down the slide again because she was able to come back to that feeling of safety. I can expand. And something as small as that, knowing this sovereign spiral framework, how it all connects, how the way we speak to our child, what we do in those moments when they do constrict, all of this allows our kids to kind of step a little further, a little further. And isn't this what we want as adults, to be able to say there's no limitations here? This is what is possible for your child. And the beauty about this framework that I really want to emphasize is that when you do this, you can't just do it for your child. Not that you, how do I say this? It's not possible for you to just do it for your child because it requires you to also do it for yourself. So in this sovereign spiral framework, this is allowing you to be that sovereign leader that you want to be, all while also supporting your child so they grow up in the same way. So they don't have to wait until they're an adult in order to learn this and to embody this and to realize that, oh my gosh, this is all an illusion. I can heal myself. I can manifest money on demand. I can be as healthy as I want to be. They're going to learn that this is normal through you doing this work and following this spiral in an attempt, not an attempt, in the knowing that you're doing it for them. Okay, let's change my colors here. Then we go on to, let's put it here. Now we go on to the energetic awareness. Let's just write, make sure I get close enough. So this is R. Should have been in red, but we're going to go with orange. So this is that first foundational step of the sovereign spiral framework. Then we are moving into the energetic awareness. You know, I thought it'd be so much easier getting this stylus to be able to write. Still working on it. That's supposed to be an E and A. So energetic awareness. So this corresponds with the sacral chakra development. That's why it's the beautiful orange. This is from ages 1 to 7. Now, don't think you have to wait, and don't think even if your kids are past the age of 7, this can't be cleared and repaired and it's not going to apply to you, because this can be done at any point. Okay, because you're doing this on yourself as you go through this to do it on your child, and you're definitely past the age of 7. So this can be done at any age. However, if you can do this in those first 7 years, it will be a little easier for you because you're going to be utilizing that theta brainwave state in which they're primarily in. However, there are so many tools out there that I teach to my clients to be able to access this point again. So this is still going to be extremely powerful. So in this energetic awareness, this is about understanding the unseen energetic bond between you and your child. Now, I want you to just take a moment and think about a time with your child, and you've definitely had one. Maybe it's not in the forefront of your mind, but somewhere in your mind, you hold on to the memory of a time where you connected with your child on a soul level. And I'd love to know in the chat, like, what that moment was for you. I know for my daughter, it was one of those really simple moments. She had just woken up from a nap and her hair was all over the place, and I was really excited to see her, and I was telling her how excited I was and how I missed her and how I love being with her. And she took her hands and put it on my face, and she looked me in the eyes, and I could feel it. I felt the bond that is there between myself and her that we all want as moms, that we sometimes get caught up in the day-to-day moments that we forget that they're here to teach us beautiful lessons about our life, and we're here to support them in their own life path. And I remember breaking down crying. And then she wiped away my tears, and I'm like, oh my God, that's just the icing on the cake right there. So what was that moment for you and your child? Because this is what is possible for you to feel on a regular basis when you begin to understand about the unseen energetic bond. We know that there is like that connection between you and your child, but sometimes we have difficulty identifying it. This is what it is. And when you can tune into this more and more, you'll be able to feel your child's energy. You'll be able to feel the moment they shift from that grounding to that anxiety. You'll be able to pinpoint when they're holding on to someone else's energy, when they're feeling scared, before they even tell you. And this is powerful. This allows you to be tuned into your child's energy and realign them and teach them how to realign themselves so they don't suppress their emotions. They don't hold on to it. They don't get into that people-pleasing energy. They allow themselves to breathe it out. Here you awaken to how your thoughts and emotions and nervous system directly affect your child. And they learn emotional expression, energetic boundaries, and their rights to feel. And again, I want you to take a moment and ask yourself, do you feel you have the right to feel? Or was this a part of the spiral that was neglected for you in your raising? Because I know for a lot of us, I know for myself, boundaries, expressing myself, that was something that just wasn't a thing. And so as an adult, I've been working on embodying more of that and clearing that and healing that. And imagine being able to know that your child feels safe, again, coming back to that root chakra, feels safe in expressing themselves. On a daily, I snuggle with each of them and hold their hands every moment I can. And that is so beautiful. It's in those moments, that physical contact, that you're sharing beautiful information together, that you're transferring information between you two on a cellular level. And that actually brings me directly into the next part of a spiral. So let's do it here. Okay. The next part of this spiral is then reprogramming those inherited beliefs. And this is usually the part that will require the most quote unquote work for yourself. Okay. So let's say reprogram beliefs. And the reason why it will require more work for yourself is because you are not naturally in that theta brainwave state. Most of the time, especially as moms, we are more in that beta, maybe sometimes alpha theta brainwave state. This isn't a place where we are able to consciously see what we are passing down to our kids. It is in this space that you act out of those pattern wounds. You act out of those limiting beliefs that you held on to on an unconscious level, probably since you were a child. So this is why entering back into that altered brainwave state is essential at this space and this period of the sovereign spiral framework. It is here that it connects with the solar plexus chakra. So from ages now 2 to 7. It is at this space that you're breaking those intergenerational patterns and rewiring your programming. And I really want you to think about this as you and your brain is like a supercomputer. You are holding on to specific programs about what is possible for your life. And we'll put this to a test. You can do this now. You can do this later. Muscle test yourself for, let's see the belief that we can do. Money's always the greatest one that we can show this for you. I receive $50,000 a month without working. Muscle test yourself for that. And see if you sway forward for yes or backwards for no. We hold on to programs that we have picked up in 4 different areas of our lives, or 4 different ways. We pick up belief systems and these programs that run unconsciously and dictate how we show up, how we interact, what our thoughts are, and are connected to our nervous system. So again, that root chakra work, which is why it's so important to feel safe. You hold on to belief systems and programs on a core level, and these are the ones that you picked up from your childhood. So those first 7 years, these are the ones that you watched your parents live out of. You pick up belief systems on a genetic level, and these are the ones that are from skin to skin contact and a cellular level. So this is where as soon as your child is conceived, they are picking up your belief systems as a mom, passing through the umbilical cord, through the placenta, and into your child. This is where every single time someone touches your child, information is being sent from that person to your child on what their programming is, and your child picks up on this. This is why doing this work is so powerful. You want to ensure that your child is holding on to the programming, the wiring of the brain and the nervous system that supports a life of confidence and empowerment and expansion. I know for myself, I want my daughter to grow up believing that $50,000 can come to her with ease, grace, and flow every single month without working. Is this possible? Completely. There are people out there who are doing it. You may not know a person who does that. Maybe you just surrounded yourself with people who have to work hard, people who have to struggle, people who only receive the bare minimum. But there are people out there who have different hardwiring than you. And so that is their safety point. And I want to ensure that my child, my daughter, my beautiful sovereign little light worker, believes that money is infinite, that she is worthy and deserving of abundance, that money flows to her with ease, grace, and flow. Do you want that for your child? I know you do. I know you do, because that's why you're here. You want your child to be free, to be sovereign, to realize their power. And it's at this point where you get to choose if you pass on the belief systems of empowerment, abundance, confidence, self-love, self-worth, or of overwhelm, of anxiety, of low self-worth, of fear. The third place and way that your child will receive these limiting beliefs is historical. And these are the belief systems that, if you believe in past lives, they've come from past lives of your child. This is also where they can pick up belief systems from ancestors. So you right now hold on to 7 generations of beliefs. 7. So part of your internal hardwiring and programming isn't even your own. Feel that. You are holding on to 7 generations past of your great, 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 great grandmother, grandfather. You're holding on to their belief systems. And think about how vastly different the world is then than it is now. I did a what was it called? Clearing Poverty Consciousness workshop last month. And in that workshop, one of the belief systems that I had everyone test was, now I forget it. What was it? I have to hold on to money to be safe. And that belief system, that's not coming from your present self. That's probably not even coming from your parents. But if you think about it, I know for myself, my great grandfather, I believe my great grandfather, was in the war. My grandfather and my grandmother also went through some war times where they had to ration things. They couldn't just eat whatever they want. They couldn't just spend whatever they want. They had to hold on to things. And I figured out that I was holding on to that belief for a very long time. And a lot of the women who went through that workshop as well discovered they were holding on to that belief. That wasn't on a core level. That was on a historic level. That was coming from their great, great, great grandparents who lived at a time when they actually had to do that. That was the only way that they could stay safe. But that isn't the case now. And if you're living out of programming similar to that, or another massive one is if someone in your lineage experienced any sexual trauma, any sexual abuse, that is something that is deeply ingrained, that affects the root, the sacral, and the solar plexus. And that can be passing on to your child through skin to skin contact. They could be holding on to beliefs that it's unsafe to be in my body. It's unsafe to be around a certain gender. I have to protect myself. I have to put on weight to protect myself. All these things that when you begin to understand the energetics, understand how belief systems affect how things happen in your life and your kid's life, you can start doing the clearing on this. You can start ensuring that they're not holding on to those generational beliefs, those historic past life beliefs. And this is where entering into that theta brainwave state gives you access to that whole archive of all of those beliefs you're holding on to, all of those programs, all that hardwiring. The fourth one, which is not as, I don't want to say not as common, but it's one of the things where it's not your fault. How do I say this, creator? It's one of those things that just is. The fourth level is a soul level. These are those beliefs that your child has been holding on to. That is just part of their wiring. It can be changed, but it's just there. It's a soul, deep level belief and programming. So it always makes sense. I'm still learning what my boundaries are and how to express myself. Yeah. And chances are that could be coming from your parents. It could also be coming from 7 generations past. It could be coming from a past life. And you right now have the opportunity to end that with you. It's that eye-to-eye contact when they get locked into each other that melts my heart. My oldest will sometimes share his deep thoughts during that time. And that's because they feel and they know that they are one with you. Okay? Children, I know I mentioned sometimes here and there about raising a sovereign child, but they're already sovereign. They come in sovereign. This is why they teach us so many lessons. They also know how to tap into these universal laws, like the law of oneness, knowing that in those moments with that eye-to-eye contact, all they see is energy, all they see is source, all they see is them in your eyes. And that is just such a beautiful moment that you get to have and share with your children, allowing them to know that that is just the norm. So it's so beautiful that you are already doing this work. That's definitely a trigger, money. It's a trigger for a lot of people. A lot of people. Okay. I'm going to put a little line here. And the reason why I'm putting a line here is because what tends to happen is that those lower three chakras, this is where, unless this work is done, unless this work is cleared up, so all the beliefs around safety, around expression, around boundaries and confidence, unless these are done, we can stay more matter. Your kids can stay more matter. This is how you as an adult, and you can just do a quick inventory of yourself, calibration of yourself. Do you feel yourself more in fight or flight or in peace and presence? If you find yourself more in fight or flight, so this could be overwhelm, this can be anxiety, this can be feeling rushed, this can be feeling ungrounded, then chances are there's still some more work for yourself to do on this sovereign spiral framework around these lower three chakras. Because then we get into, let's choose this pretty green. Then we get into, okay. Then we get into modeling sovereignty. And modeling sovereignty is connected to the heart and a little bit of the solar plexus, but a lot of the heart. This heart chakra, let me just circle this one too. This one is so important because the heart chakra is the bridge between the lower three chakras and the upper three chakras. If this heart chakra and the work that is required in this sovereign spiral framework to support your child's sovereignty is neglected or overlooked or kind of brushed past, this is where there'll be that probably flip-flopping for your child of sometimes they're super in their head, sometimes they're super in the imagination world and they can't get grounded. Or sometimes they're super grounded and maybe they're holding on to extra weight. This is very possible. Or maybe they're super in the grounded and they're wanting this instant gratification, or when they get a little bit older, maybe they're having a lot of anxiety and they can't get back into the trust of the upper chakras. So it's in modeling sovereignty that it also, again, all of this requires your inner work. Just putting that out there. But when we model sovereignty, it's about you stepping into that version of you that is sovereign. Because that is accessible to you too, right here, right now. It is in this that you are leading through embodiment. It is in this space that you are showing your child through doing the work yourself what is possible for them. And this takes all that safety, that expression, that confidence, and pushes it into now the upper chakras of using your voice, manifesting, visualizing your new reality, being able to heal yourself. This is where you don't just say what's right, you live it. You know those, I've heard this line so many times whether I've been growing up, I've seen it in movies, do as I say, not as I do. No, I want them to do as you do. I want them to say as you say. Because if you're speaking about yourself from that place of self-love, I want your kid to be doing the same. I know for myself and my husband, we are extremely dedicated on this space and talking and acting as our most abundant self. We don't even use the word I am sick. We say I am going through an upgrade. Even shifts like that, small shifts like that in your language is super powerful at this stage of this framework. You are also showing your kids what is quote unquote right and wrong and what is safe. What's going to allow them to feel accepted. Because even for yourself, it is very likely that you will avoid doing things that your tribe isn't doing. So I also just want you to take a moment and realize that you right now, by being here, Maybe you are the first person in your tribe to be doing this work. This is huge for your nervous system. You were already embodying sovereignty and leadership by being in a space and learning information here that is going to drastically change how you show up for your child. But it's also something that no one else in your family might be doing. And let me know in the comments if you were the first one in your tribe to be starting to learn this work and do this work. Here is where your child learns to trust themselves through watching you trust yourself. Now, be honest with yourself here. Be honest with me here. Be honest with your child. Do you fully trust yourself? Do you trust that you are unconditionally supported on your path? Do you trust that no matter what happens, you are taken care of? Do you trust in your gifts and abilities to do this work? Do you trust in your partner? Trust is one of those virtues that I myself am learning. I know it's generational. I know it's historical. I know it's a core level. It's probably a soul level too. So this area, at least for myself, is one of the biggest ones. And you'll see which one on the sovereign spiral framework is in most resonance with you. And you're like, I've been avoiding this, or I really know I have to do this. For myself, it's been the trust. But I'm ensuring that my daughter has unconditional support and trust in herself, that she knows that she is always supported. And so what does that look like for myself? It looks like using the words of I support you, I trust you. How often do you say I trust you to your children? How often do we actually trust our children and remind them that we trust them? I've had many clients that we do theta healing sessions with, and they'll bring up topics like I remember one client, her kids were older. I think they were around 10 and 15. And she was holding on to a lot of the lower energy chakra work of feeling unsupported, feeling unsafe. And she really wanted them to be able to start doing more chores because it was a lot for her. She was a single mom. She just couldn't handle it. Again, that lack of support. And I asked her to muscle test, do you trust your children? And she got a no. On a conscious level, we say, of course we trust them. But when you think moment to moment in these little circumstances, like for example, I trust my daughter that she's going to be able to get up that slide and walk up those steps without falling. And I also trust that if she does fall, she can catch herself. And if she doesn't, she will still be okay because the universe has her, and I trust that. See all those levels there? I also trust myself to know that if she's in immediate danger, I can take care of that and I can protect her. It's these little moments that we're being called to look at ourselves to see, where are we not trusting? Where are we trusting? Where are we modeling embodiment of abundance, of power, of boundaries, and where are we not? And how is that showing up in how we are looking at our kids? Because our kids are a mirror to us. We're modeling sovereignty, but they are showing us what parts of ourselves are not sovereign yet. So we can actually do this work. Okay. First one, as in the root chakra work, that's fine. Do it. Starting to trust myself, but I know it's not 100%. And it is like, this is a spiral. It keeps going. So you're going to find more and more layers of that trust, of that abundance, of that health, of that freedom. Trust in others is really hard right now. And cancel clear, trust is easy and effortless and graceful for myself and others. I love you. And if that triggered you and you're like, no, but it's not true, lean into it. I am leaning into this with my 3-year-old. Today I said, I trust you with the nail polish by yourself, and I surrendered. Oh, pat on the back for you. Like, I felt the constriction in that. I was like, oh my God, that nail polish is probably everywhere. Right now, I'm trusting my daughter with drinking out of a cup without a lid on. Today, she dropped it. Milk went everywhere. And I reminded myself, but I still trusted her. And when I did, when I let her drink it without a lid on, she gave me a kiss as like a thank you. Thank you for trusting me. And your kids will start to show you like the appreciation for you allowing them to be sovereign. I've been learning about trust through a risky play outdoors. Yeah. I've been avoiding saying be careful. See? Little shifts like that will make the biggest difference. I definitely need to let go of control big time. I'm with you there. That was one of my biggest things during my postpartum year. I'm realizing I'm not trusting them to be independent and responsible. And so I want you to tune in and ask yourself, where do you not trust yourself to be independent and responsible? Okay. Now, let's go. Let's go about here. My circles are becoming less and less circles the more I go out. Okay. So here is about strengthening that sacred bond. That bond I talked about earlier, that bond of like looking into their soul and feeling them, knowing them. This, I know I did blue, but this is, I'll do a mixture of colors. This is how we're going to do it. Look at this big blob. Okay. This is primarily the heart chakra and a little bit of the throat. Okay. This is where, and the theme here is that deep attuned connection beyond control and authority. So it's perfect, Hannah, that you started bringing in that I need to let go of control. This is your space to do that. This is a space where you realize that your child is already sovereign. This is that space where you can open up your heart to say, you are free. And I'm just going to gently put these like bumpers up and allow you to roam free. Because think about if you were raised in that way. Think about if you were let outside into a field and your mom said, go play. And you could do whatever. You could put your hands all up in the dirt. You could squish a bug, even though, poor bug. You could try to climb a tree and maybe you'd fall. Think about how much you'd learn in an afternoon where you were softly free. For your children, for these new earth children, because if you're here listening to this, whether you're watching live, watching the replay, you have a new earth child. And these new earth children come with such a high degree of consciousness that they won't actually allow you to control them. And this will show up in ways like having a really stubborn child, having a child who is highly independent, having a child who is very highly sensitive to outside energies, to sounds, to light. You know you have a new earth child. And if you want a confirmation, I also have the free new earth child checklist, and you can check off those things, but you know you have a new earth child, and they will not allow you to control them because they know their freedom. They know they are sovereign, and they will not let anything take that away from them. Chances are you are probably also a new earth child for your generation. I know my husband is, and he is like fighting against the system. He is a wild child, and my daughter is the same. And it's here that you let go of that need to control and instead strengthen that trust and safety through connection. Here is where a child feels unconditionally loved and seen and accepted. And in theta healing, if you've never experienced theta healing before, you access that altered brainwave state of theta, and you're able to recall and access all of your programming, all of your hardwiring, where you're holding on to stuck, stagnant, trapped emotions. Now, over my years of working with hundreds of clients, the primary beliefs that usually all these beliefs come down to, because we get to the core energy. We can work on those surface level beliefs, and this is where I usually give activations, and maybe you've received an activation from me before, and that's usually the surface level beliefs. So when you go into a deep dive one-on-one session with me, we go straight to the core. And usually the beliefs that affect everything else, all the other branches and extensions of your wiring, come down to beliefs around I am loved, I am seen, I am good enough or valuable, and I am safe. And you can even muscle test yourself for these beliefs. Do you have the hardwiring of these very core surface level beliefs that chances are you picked up at some point on this framework, at some point in your childhood? It is here that you are able to show your child that that is their set point. That is their birthright, to be seen, to be good enough, to be valued, to be worthy, to be loved unconditionally. One of the things that I have seen over my years of doing this work is that a lot of us don't know what unconditional love feels like. Because through their childhood, through what a lot of parenting books teach you, is that love is conditional. I am loved when I am quote unquote the good girl, when I say my please and thank yous. I am loved when I do my chores, because we are praised in that way, that external validation. A lot of the times it is harder to quote unquote love. We always love them, but to show them love in those moments when they throw something, when they hit you, when they're throwing a temper tantrum, when they scream, when they do something quote unquote bad, when they disobey you. But chances are you're probably acting out of your own programming from what you received when you were a child. And it's here where you get to show your child that they are loved unconditionally, where they are safe unconditionally, where they are worthy unconditionally, and they are supported and seen. Okay, now let's do the pretty blue. So moving up on the sovereign spiral framework, now we go into the throat and the third eye. So this is where, oh, my writing. This is where you enter into the mystic leader. Now, a few of you are in the mystic membership that I have, and that is created with this part of the spiral framework in mind. Because in that container, that it is just focused on you. Focus on stretching you, reprogramming your beliefs, giving you the tools to be that mystical leader. Because it's in this space that you are guiding your child from a place of intuition, of vision, of alignment. It is here that you begin to be able to access your kid's energy in a way that maybe you've never before. Those who have gone through the ThetaHealing Seminar, you know the feeling of tuning into someone else's aura and energy. Hannah, I know you've been in it, you've gone through it, and I know you're taking the advanced in, I think it's September. When you do this work, when you start to be a mystic leader, it requires you to tune into your intuition. And maybe you've never done that before. Maybe you're just starting to awaken these gifts. Because it's at this stage, this is usually between the ages of 5 to 7. It is at this stage that most of the time your intuitive gifts when you were a child were shut down. It is at this stage that you begin to realize that it is unsafe for me to talk to spirits and talk to spirit guides. This is where usually maybe you were told, okay, you don't have an imaginary friend anymore. It isn't real. You have to grow up. And let me know in the comments, were your intuitive abilities shut down? And if you can remember, if not, close your eyes and ask, what age was that at? Because it's at this space that you begin to speak your truth more. So you're going to be doing things completely differently. This is where you start to show up differently and start to do things differently that other people may begin to question. This is where a lot of the judgment comes in. This is where we can begin to feel that constriction of, I'm doing something completely different. I tell people that I don't know, some people even that I do know, not to touch my daughter. And people have given me the weirdest looks. I'm like, why not? Because I know their information is going to transfer to her. I know she's going to hold on to someone else's energy. I know that I have no idea what the other person went through. They could pass a spirit onto her that can attach onto her. So I know that I have to lean into speaking my truth in order to protect her energetic field. This is when we begin to work on more of the energetics of your child. If you never knew your kids could hold on to spirits, let this be the first time that you remember, and forevermore remember, because spirits love to attach to kids because they're such light beings. So this is where having the proper energetic hygiene to cleanse our energy, to clear any energetic cords, to let go of radiation, to clear that from their body. This is huge for affecting their mental, physical, and emotional health. This is something that is not talked about in mainstream books. Until my book comes out, The Sovereign Child, hopefully, I'm crossing my fingers in the next couple of months. I'm bending time to allow it to happen. Because it's this radical conversation about knowing how to tap into your kids' energy through opening up your third eye again and trusting your intuition that allows you to support them on this journey, this ever-growing journey of their energetic development in the most graceful, effortless way. This is how you can show your children that they can heal themselves. I have worked on many kids before, and it's so beautiful to see how tapped in they are, especially at this age of 5 to 7, because they're developing their third eye at this time. And I've had sessions and they've been able to tune in and they feel me in their body. They know exactly where I am. And if you ask them, they know the colors of the chakras, what their body is telling them and how it's speaking to them. Things that as adults, as these mystical leaders, we are starting to remember as well. The mystic membership, that's the whole focus of this. The ThetaHealing Seminars, that awakens and allows you to remember your truth that you are connected, that you can do this work with ease, grace, and flow. Because here is where your child begins to tune in and trust their own inner knowing. And we want that. We want that for our kids. And I know for certain, I want that for myself. And you probably do too. To be able to know those intuitive nudges and listen and follow. To be able to hear your higher self on a daily basis. To be able to connect and feel your spirit team around you. And again, if this is your first time hearing about all this, it's freaking cool. And it allows you to experience the world in a completely new lens. I was labeled a daydreamer when I was 5. And what did it make you believe about yourself? Ask yourself that. What did it make you believe about yourself? And what did you change about yourself from that belief? Because this is how, if it makes us believe anything that takes us away from our tribe, it makes us feel like we are unseen, unsupported, unloved, unworthy, we can change how we show up to make sure that we are showing up in a way that others have told us and shown us is quote unquote acceptable. And this is what we want to make sure your kids are not doing. that they're showing up as their most expressive, authentic self because they know they're unconditionally loved. They know their mom talks to spirits, so of course they can continue to talk to spirits. This is the energy we want for these sovereign kids, because this allows them to start to work with the balancing of the lower chakras and the trust in the expansiveness and the intuition of the upper chakras. Okay. I won't be able to use white because it's a white screen. So what color can we use? We're going to use a purple. Okay. Now here in the sovereign spiral framework, this is where we begin to break the cycles. It is in this space that you are stopping those generational patterns, where you are showing up as the leader, the sovereign mother that they are asking for. It is here where you have liberation out of those old systems, where there's generational healing, where you end those karmic loops, where you are sovereign and your kids are sovereign. Here is where you are consciously choosing on a moment-to-moment basis this new path for yourself and your lineage. Here is where your kids grow up rooted in truth, love, and sovereignty. And it just keeps going. All of this is those first 7 years. But this is accessible no matter how old your kids are, because the work can start now. You working on your root chakra, your sacral, your solar plexus, your heart, your throat, your third eye, and your crown begins to do this. You changing how you speak, what you're embodying, you changing and rewiring your programming, you beginning to open your intuitive abilities, tuning into their energy. All of this can be done at any point. This is the framework, and it is so powerful. So if you have any questions about this, let me know. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Okay. Okay, so where are you on the sovereign spiral framework? Now, there's no right place to be, okay? There's just awareness. So I want you to take a moment and ask yourself, and I want you to either put, for this question, and go with the first message or answer that comes to mind, put either a P or a C. Am I still parenting from patterns or from presence? And either put a P or a C. Am I trying to get it, quote unquote, right, or learning to trust myself? And put either an R or a T. Am I surviving the day or anchoring the future? And again, you can put either an S or an A. Okay. So if you had a P, an R, and an S, you are patterned parenting. Okay. This means that you are acting out of those unconscious programs. Chances are generational programs. Here is where you are living in that beta brainwave state, and chances are you are living unconsciously. And that's okay. If you are here, that is completely fine, because you have the choice, the ability, the capability to transcend that, to move beyond that. If you had a CRA, a PTS, or a PTA, here you are, an awakening mystic. You are learning that so much more is possible for you. Maybe you're starting to stretch yourself by you coming to this workshop, whether live or the recording. You are expanding. Here's where maybe you're learning new things like you are in this workshop, in this VIP experience. here you are an awakening mystic. And if you had a CTA, you are an embodied sovereign. So here is where you are doing that work on a conscious moment-to-moment basis. Here is where you are supporting your child in the highest and best way to remain sovereign themselves. And again, honor where you are. It's okay, no matter where you are. There's always something you can do about that. Okay, so give me 1 second. 1 second. Oh, I'm going to stop sharing my screen once again. So let's just go back here a second. Okay, I want to show you some of the things that are possible in using this framework. So these are just some of the amazing transformations that have happened from knowing this framework, doing this framework, again, for kids that range from 6 months old to 14, 15. Like my one client who knows that zipping up her daughter's aura before they went out into large crowds, she didn't act out as much. She wasn't holding on to this energy because she utilized tapping into her energy, trusting her own intuition to be able to prevent her from having those freakouts. Or another client who realized that she was holding on to the unworthiness belief that was passed down from, I believe it ended up being from her grandfather. That by clearing that and clearing in her heart chakra, she was able to show up differently for her son, to be able to connect with him on a deeper level. Or another one of my clients who realized that, okay, I could heal the stuffy nose with medication, or she tuned in and realized that her third eye chakra was out of balance and that cleared her daughter's stuffy nose. Or one, this is not even one of the most amazing ones. This is one of the top ones, that her little one had a seizure and she was able to clear this energy, clear the trauma from her, to allow her child and her to no longer hold on to any of those somatic imprints that would affect her in the rest of her life. And there are so many more amazing testimonials from these beautiful women who are doing this work, like yourself, who are focusing on this, who is dedicated to supporting their child's sovereignty. So I now want to open this up to any and all questions that you have. So I'll stop sharing my screen and you can either unmute yourself or put your hand up and unmute yourself and you can ask your questions, or you can put them in the comments, because again, this is really a time for you to receive this support so you can walk away here with this framework, knowing how to work with your child's blueprint so they can be sovereign. And if this is stretching you in any way to ask a question, lean into it. Marianne, I see you.
I'm looking for my, can you hear me okay? Oh, there's so many questions. um, I guess like when you're receiving, like when I'm receiving all this information and I'm like so excited about it, and then I go out and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do this, and then you're met with this like, what are you doing? And then I fall back and I'm like, oh, did I do right? Do I need more time? I'm learning like not to give up so easily, but yeah, that like knowing the moments when to like lean in. And like I have been trying the which was really well received with both my kids, like that they instantly changed their like instantly. I was like, oh my goodness. And it made me realize how quickly I could be changing my perspectives. Like it's just been, I think I fear that it's gonna go so quickly and it's just gonna be so great. And I'm like, but what about all these old beliefs? What do I do with them? So I don't know if the question was in there, but
Okay. So I want you to remember that, like I mentioned at the beginning of this call, your survival self wants to keep you safe. And you're doing something that is way outside of the safety range. So, in those moments of constriction, I want you to find a way to feel and regulate yourself. So, what some of the little simple tips that you can do, and this is really powerful if your kids are having a meltdown as well. Um, you can do like a low, really low hum, like and that activates your vagus nerve. You can also, again, it sounds weird, and my daughter always has a little chuckle when she sees this, but if you start to massage your ear, like your right ear first, and then you start to run your fingernails down your neck, and you might feel like the need to yawn, or you might get like a shiver, that also activates your nervous system. You can do it on both sides too. I usually do it on both sides. Little things like that will help regulate your nervous system. So in those moments when you may not, um, in those moments where you may know on a conscious level, okay, like here's an opportunity, but that survival self kicks in and starts to say, I can do it later, or it's just not a loud enough voice of that higher self kicking in. Do that practice and see if that opens you up to stepping into that more. Okay, this is also something completely new. So I used to be a personal trainer, so I always refer to a gym metaphor. When you first go to the gym, you're not going to start curling or squatting 50 pounds, right? You work up to this. So if your starting point is the ohms, you stick with it. And then you add another little piece. Another really important piece is to also find the support to walk you through this. Because if you are the only one in your tribe doing this, you may want to go back to those old patterns just to fulfill that unconscious belief that I need to be part of a tribe. This is why I created the Sovereign Child Academy, because we need to come together. You need to feel supported for yourself as a mom so your nervous system is regulated, so that way you can continue to do this work and feel supported. So the support, nervous system regulation, lean into it, see what beliefs you're holding about who are you, or what is it going to make you believe about yourself if you are this mystical leader. Because there could be something there as well that is stopping you from either remembering to do these things or wanting to lean into it more and be more consistent. Usually it will come down to some sort of belief. Hope that answers your question.
I'll speak if that's okay. Um, I have to be honest. I am definitely the person who is doing the pattern parenting, and I mean, I have just met Emily because I've just joined her mandala, and so this whole world is it's not just I mean, I've been aware of it for years, but I am very new to it. And the fact that like I'm finally embodying it and trying to make changes in myself. And so I feel so overwhelmed with this because I just don't even know where to start. I don't know how to balance my root chakra. I mean, I've definitely learned so much through the course all through last week, and I'm trying on a daily basis to slow myself down and be more mindful. It is so, so hard. I am just always on the go, like 24/7 and homeschooling my kids. I'm such the brick and mortar where I got to get this, and this, and done, or I'm just a failure for the whole day if I don't. And I'm totally pushing my kids into that. And I don't want that for them, but I'm just like, how do I break these beliefs. How do I'm struggling with my inner child here because I know that I was raised this way of like, what boundaries? What the heck are you talking about? Like, you just sit there and you're not heard. You just be a good girl and do what I've told you to do. And I've gotten into this life of like, I don't know. I worked in an office for like 8 years and I finally just like, I didn't want that. I'm a creative person and now I homeschool my kids, which is against the grain. And I own my own business where I'm an esthetician and makeup artist and I love doing artistic things and creating. And I'm like, I know that there's more to life than school and an office job and thinking that you have to be worthy and to make money. And so all these things have triggered me in one way or another. But I guess my question is like, where do I begin and how do I get rid of these old beliefs that are in my head and my heart? I want to let it go and I want to change. So just how do I do it?
Okay. Anna, are you in Sovereign Child Academy yet?
I am
Because
not, but it sounds like I need to be.
because I was gonna say, so when you, and I'm going to share a little bit more about this after, but one of the things that you get when you join is access to all my courses, which break down so much of this. You will also receive a one-on-one session with me where we can work specifically on your inner child wounds. The reason why I created this is for moms just like you that are like, I have absolutely no idea where the frick frack to start. I want to do this, but like I don't know. This is where that framework comes in, where I'll break it down for you in a very simple, easy way, so that way your nervous system won't feel overwhelmed. And if you're feeling overwhelmed by all of this, it is because, and this is so beautiful, this is because your higher self, the sovereign version of you, knows that this is possible. And it's just your survival self saying, no, 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 no. We're going to come up with all the different reasons why we cannot do this, why we cannot join Sovereign Child Academy, where we don't have time, where we don't have the resources, all these things, because it is expanding you and it's going to expand you in ways that you have never expanded before. When you join, and again, I'll explain it a little bit more later, but we meet on a consistent basis. You have direct access to me and all the other moms there. So you can continue to build that support system. So any of these questions that you have, you're always going to be able to have the answer to them. You're also going to learn how to find the answer within yourself. One of the things that I teach, and I dive deeper into this inside of the ThetaHealing Seminars, and that's like the primary goal here, is to be able to reconnect yourself with your truth. That way you'll never have a day of, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to best support my child. You'll know because you know how to trust yourself. So this is the reason why I created this, because I know so many moms that I do one-off sessions with, and they'd notice the result, but they're like, I don't know what to do after this. And they would stop doing it. But your child's asking you to be consistent with it. You know you want to be consistent with it. You stayed for over an hour listening to this. Right? If you were really feeling overwhelmed to the point where you're like, this isn't for me, you would have left. But it's because there was that disconnect between what your inner self knows to be true and what it wants, and that survival self. And this is where, by clearing out that lack of safety and that nervous system regulation, it will allow you to do this work with confidence. And that's why I created this. So if you haven't, highly suggest it. Just putting it out there. And again, like if it is a full like divine no, honoring you in that, you will find a way eventually, because like this is part of your path. You're meant to do this. Your child asked you to do this, or again, you wouldn't be here. But if you want that easier framework, if you want that support, then it's available for you. I hope that answers your question.
Yes,
I
thank
love
you.
you. I see you. I honor you. And thank you for your vulnerability and transparency on the overwhelm and where you're parenting from. Because Again, that awareness piece is so essential, and it's what's going to shift how you show up for your child. I resonate with so much of what you said, Anna. I homeschool too, and I get anxious about getting things done. And we're going to work actually one of our modules, because we focus on breaking down this sovereign spiral framework in greater detail. Like, this is just scratching the surface. We break this down, and one of the things we talk about is letting go of some of these beliefs in yourself. And we do the reprogramming on you, so you no longer have to be in that place of control, right? Where we figure out what that means about you when you let go of control. What do you fear happening? So we break all of that down for you so you can be in that very present place with your children, to allow them to see that they can also be free. Okay, we have time for one more question. Hannah, I know you are breastfeeding, but if you would like to ask a question, you can.
I I'm like racking my brain for a question because I I love these one-on-ones with you. Um, I feel like I'm just processing all this amazing information you've shared and taking it all in. So I'm like, my brain is just like deep in thought right now. But I love you so much, Emily. This work you're doing is amazing. Thank you for being our leader and our teacher and our mentor and supporter, everything. And I highly recommend to anyone doing the Seminar, because that like has changed my life, and that's how you can do all this work on your own when you're not getting support from Emily. So that's all I wanted to share.
Thank you, Hannah. And you guys are going to get access to this replay as well. So if it was like you're trying to like take frantic notes, you can come back and finish off those notes for yourself. And when you join Sovereign Child Academy, you also get an exclusive discount on the Theta Healing Seminar. Just putting that out there as well. There's so many things. This is one of those offerings that I never thought I would do, but I'm giving like everything. I'm like, take it all, because the women who are doing this work, you need to be supported in every way. I don't want to leave out any missing pieces. I want you to be able to access all of it and feel regulated when you do. So let me just go back to here. Hope you guys can see this. Okay, so the root chakra has already shifted so much. And now it's about accessing and activating that full spiral. So this is where Sovereign Child Academy comes in. So I have touched on it a little bit for the coaching, but this is where we fully have the 7 chakra parenting curriculum. It's a 6-month container, even though I already know, I've been channeled it. I'm not putting it out there for everybody, but I already know it's going to be longer than that. One of the things that I love is offering more opportunities, more freebies, more just experiences. And so I have a feeling it's probably going to be a bit longer, or maybe some, I don't know. I just know more is coming. We break down the sovereign spiral framework. So we talk about the language, the energetics, doing that work on yourself, doing the reprogramming, so that way you again can be that sovereign leader for your child, and also know the very simple, easy, like the tools that can shift their energy and support their energetic development. We have 6 core modules that we go through, and then there's also how do I say it? There's also live coaching, and then there's the monthly healing calls as well. And this is for a span of 6 months. You have access to the community, support from me, and all my courses. So this includes courses like Sacred Slumber. So if your kids are struggling with sleep, this is an amazing one. Balancing Baby Chakras, which talk about, again, more of the energetics of balancing all their energy centers. We have Unshakably Confident Motherhood course. We have Cycle Breakers. There's so many amazing courses that you have access to. And this allows you to start doing this work, because we kick off May 5th. So you can start doing this work right now with all these self-paced courses. And when you join within the next 24 hours, you also get access to an exclusive live integration circle, where we're going to dive deeper into your own personal experience, what you can work on specifically. So knowing your set point and how we can get you to a point where you are the embodied sovereign. You also can receive, not can, you will receive a personalized chakra and belief map for you and your child. Now, here's the thing. This isn't a bonus that you need to pay in full in order to receive. You can receive this when you do the gifting or investment amount of $130 a month, and this is for 12 months. So this was created again because I want it to be so accessible for you and your nervous system. Now, at the end of this week, the gifting amount is going up to $2,222. And for those of you who live in Canada, this is Canadian. For those of you who live in anywhere else in the world, the price will be a bit different. So just do the conversion for yourself, no matter where you are in the world. And $130 a month is also Canadian because I'm a Canadian girl. So this is accessible for you because I want to make it so accessible. I want your nervous system to feel so regulated when you do this, knowing that at $130 a month for 12 months, you have access to 8+ courses, access to all of these guides. Chances are it's going to be longer than 6 months. You're also going to have a discount on the ThetaHealing Seminar. I just haven't received the channeled message yet. You're going to learn how to raise a sovereign child and feel confident and supported as you do this. So let me figure out where to do this. Hold on. I had it like front and center and now, okay. So I'm going to add it into the chat, and I'm also going to, I'll add it into, it's in a bunch of your emails. I'm also going to put it into Root Chakra Activation Week, the link in order to join. And there's the option there for the pay in full or the gift, not pay in full, gifting in full, or the investment plan for yourself. And I want you to feel into this. If you feel any resistance, muscle test. If you feel any resistance, lean into that. Ask yourself, what's this going to make me believe about myself if I do this work? Because like Hannah said, not to toot my own horn, but also to toot my own horn, this is some powerful work that is not shared anywhere else. And you are here as way showers. Think about the information that you're learning, that very few people around the world are learning this yet, because you're meant to be the sovereign leaders to change the conscious collective energy, to ensure your children grow up as light leaders. So I love you, I see you, I honor you, and I thank you for spending an hour and a half with me. It always amazes me how time flies whenever I do these, because I love just being in this energy. So if you have any and all questions, also feel free to reach out. If anything needs to be supported in your nervous system in order to step into this space. And I love you, I see you, I honor you, and we will connect again very soon. And in those of you who are in Sovereign Child Academy, I'm so excited. We kick off May 5th. It's my daughter's birthday. Again, beautiful, beautiful synchronicities. So with that, we are complete. Bye, everyone.